I'm Zach, a dry cleaner who's passionate about making laundry easier for you. And today I'm going to share my laundry room essentials. I'm going to organize this list into 4 parts: must-haves, should-haves, extra credit, and things I skip entirely. My must-haves are detergent, oxygen bleach, and an enzymatic stain remover. Should-haves are powdered boosters, rinse products, sanitizers, spotting brush, mesh bags, and a steamer. Extra credit, delicate and specialty detergents, and color catch sheets. And finally, things I skip entirely: fabric softener dryer sheets, chlorine bleach, scent beads, laundry detergent sheets, and frankly, all heavily perfumed products. First, let's go over the 3 most important products: detergent, oxygen bleach, and an enzymatic stain remover. Honestly, if you have and understand how to use these 3, you might not ever need to watch my content again. Let's begin with detergent. It might seem obvious, but if there's only one thing you can buy, let it be a really good detergent. I wouldn't say there's a best formulation, aka liquid, powder, pods. Each has their own pros and cons. I personally am a liquid guy because I like to control my dosing. I find it easy to use, and liquid makes for an amazing stain pre-treatment. Just take a little bit, dab it on a stain, and you'll be surprised at how well it works. Pods are amazing because they're mindlessly easy, pre-dosed, super concentrated. I think pods are a great way to get people started with laundry, aka teenagers and people living on their own for the first time. And powder can be heavy and a bit messy, but it's undefeated when it comes to whitening, as it's the only form that includes powdered oxygen bleach, my favorite. And if you want some help picking a detergent, check out my website, thecleanclub.com, which includes data like performance, cost, ingredient safety, and allows you to compare products. Next, the cheat code known as oxygen bleach. I'm going to spend a bit of time breaking this down and explaining it because I think it's extremely important and underused. There are 2 forms: powdered oxygen bleach and liquid oxygen bleach. Powder, which uses the active ingredient sodium percarbonate, is more effective but a bit of an involved process. Liquid oxygen bleach, also known as hydrogen peroxide, is less effective but way easier to use. Super common brands that have become synonymous with powdered oxygen bleach are OxyClean and Vanish. As for hydrogen peroxide, there aren't really any brands, it's just the generic stuff in the brown bottle you'll find in supermarkets or pharmacies or bodegas. Here's a few tips on best practices with oxygen bleach. For best results, clean your item first and then use oxygen bleach. These products target the color of a stain, so you need to remove the root of the issue before fixing the color. If you're going powder, soak your items in hot water overnight and then re-wash. It's important to use hot water to activate the bleach, but it doesn't need to stay hot. It does work better if the water stays hot, but there's really no easy way to do this unless you're a sicko like me who uses a sous vide machine to keep a constant water temperature. For hydrogen peroxide, all you gotta do is spray it on your stain and let it air dry in the shade. The most important thing is that you do not expose a garment wet with hydrogen peroxide to sunlight. It will turn this mild oxidizer into a very aggressive one and cause yellow discolorations. You do not need to wash your item after using hydrogen peroxide. A few quick notes about it. First, it's in an opaque bottle for a reason. That reason being light, especially UV, breaks it down, which makes it useless. Second, the stuff you buy in the store is 3% hydrogen peroxide. You do not need to dilute it further. Third, it's harsh on the skin and it will turn your skin a little bit white. If you're not careful, I'd recommend using gloves. Oxygen bleach is a mild oxidizer that takes a long time to work. Don't expect to see results for about a day. Whereas chlorine bleach is a very harsh oxidizer that works almost immediately, but it can't tell the difference between the color of a fabric and the color of a stain. It just removes everything, which is bad. I do not recommend using chlorine bleach unless you have to do some very serious sanitizing. More on that later. To wrap up oxygen bleach, you may need to repeat the process for tough stains. Patience and persistence is key here. I've gotten some really brutal tomato sauce and curry stains out through repeated treatments. Dry cleaners also use powdered oxygen bleach by the literal barrelful. It's a godsend for wedding dress cleaning. Last up, for my absolute must-haves, a really good enzymatic stain remover. Enzymes, just like the ones in our digestive system, work by breaking down big molecules into smaller ones, which allows detergent and water to wash them away. Things like protein and carbohydrates can be really tough stains, but thankfully, a product with the right enzymes makes quick work of them. I highly recommend you check the ingredients of a stain removing spray to ensure it has lipase, protease, and amylase. Those are the big three super important ones in my opinion. Those enzymes break down fats and oils, protein, and carbs. Other good ones that are bonuses: cellulase, mayonnaise, pectinase, and nuclease. For best results with an enzymatic stain remover, let the treatment sit on the stain for a few hours before washing. Similar to oxygen bleach, enzymes take a bit of time to work. I like to hang a bottle off my hamper and spray on stains when I take my dirty clothes off, but you shouldn't leave an enzymatic stain pre-treatment on for more than a week, as it may cause issues like discoloration. And honestly, if you're on a tighter budget or say forgot to pre-treat a stain and you're at the laundromat, liquid detergent makes for an amazing pre-treatment because it has just about all of those enzymes and ingredients in these stain sprays. Again, this is why I recommend using a really good detergent, specifically liquid, as it's got a lot of functionality. But if you have a well-rounded enzymatic pre-treatment, a great detergent, and know how to use oxygen bleach, your clothes are going to look and smell amazing. Plus, you really don't need to use much of these products, so they should last a while. The next round of products are my should-haves, if you will. Still very important, but by no means necessary. Real quick, while we're talking stain treatments, get somewhat of a soft bristle brush. I get mine from Cleaner Supply, who's the dry cleaner's go-to for most products. Hint, hint, wink, wink, Cleaner Supply partnership is overdue. An old toothbrush also works great. I highly recommend tamping up and down motions when working in a pre-treatment over rubbing. Rubbing will cause fabric damage and discolorations. Next up are powdered boosters. This is the most DIY and variable product on the list. Basically, it's a concoction of washing soda, borax, baking soda, and sodium percarbonate. These boosters turbocharge the effectiveness of your detergent in a variety of ways. Let me explain what each of these ingredients do real fast. Washing soda, sodium carbonate, is a builder that neutralizes annoying minerals like calcium and magnesium in the water, which can get in the way of detergent doing its job. It can also help with grease and oil remover. Borax, sodium tetraborate, also softens water but focuses more on boosting the effectiveness of oxygen bleach and enzymes. Sodium percarbonate, which I just fawned over during the oxygen bleach section, is the main active ingredient in oxygen bleach. So this focuses on correcting a stain's color and whitening. And I used to recommend baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, which is washing soda's weak cousin. But honestly, as I've learned more about chemistry, it's very, very weak compared to these three. And I think a waste of space and money in your booster recipe. The reason why I said powdered booster mixes are variable is because you can play around with the ratios. If you have really hard water, I'd increase washing soda and borax. If whitening is your goal, lean more on sodium percarbonate. And if you have no interest in playing scientist, just do a 1:1:1 ratio. For best results, add 1/4 of a cup of your booster mix to the drum or wheel of your machine before you load in your clothes. I don't think you need to use it in every load. I'd reserve this stuff for things that are really dirty or stinky. Plus, borax can be a bit harsh on fabric, so keep that in mind. Okay, let's move on to sanitizing products, which are amazing and underused, in my opinion. They're relatively new in the residential laundry space. I think most popped up during COVID, and I feel like the brands who make them have done a bad job of educating the public and their consumers on their uses. Obviously, sanitizers sanitize and disinfect, as it says on the packaging, but I think they're most valuable for their odor removal properties. Remember, detergent cannot legally claim to kill bacteria, even though they do a great job at it. but these sanitizing products can, which is hard to prove and impressive. Let's talk a bit more about why I love them for odor removal. Quick biology tangent. Body odor is caused by malodor-causing bacteria that live on our bodies and feed off of our body oil or sebum. Pretreatments and detergent are great at removing that sebum, but sometimes those pesky, stinky bacteria live on, but not if you use sanitizers. As for using them, please follow the instructions. Essentially, to sanitize, add the recommended amount to the rinse or fabric softener slot of your washer. To disinfect, you'll need to add the sanitizing product to water and soak your garment for at least 15 minutes. Disinfecting is much more thorough than sanitizing. While we're talking about products that go in the fabric softener slot, let's discuss these rather new acidic rinse products. I think they're the industry's answer to the white vinegar craze that social media can't stop talking about. In short, they're very low pH products that can help provide additional cleaning at the end of the wash cycle to dissolve leftover residues left over from minerals and detergent. I enjoy using these pretty often on my gym clothes. Okay, 2 more should-have products. The second to last being mesh bags. They have a lot of versatility, but I'd say their main function is to protect delicate garments during the wash cycle. Think sequin dresses, garments with metal hardware, clothes with lots of lace, bras. Should always go in a mesh bags. Us Dry Cleaner, we use them by the dozen. They're a staple of our cleaning process. Plus, they're excellent for keeping socks together. I haven't lost a sock in years, thanks to mesh bags. And last, a steamer. Much more gentle on your clothes than an iron. It relaxes the fibers and softens those wrinkles as opposed to using lots of pressure, which can cause fabric shine. And obviously, they're pretty darn easy to use and inexpensive. Obviously, irons are really important, but I'd try and use the steamer first. I think those are the products and tools that you must and should have. Here are a couple extras to level up your game. Detergent, specifically formulated for delicate items and protein or animal fibers. What I'm talking about here are detergents designed for materials like cashmere and silk. There are 2 very important attributes about these detergents. First, they should not have enzymes in them, as they can be damaging to the textile. You're now an expert on enzymes, so I hope this makes a little bit more sense. While enzymes are amazing, they can also work too well sometimes. Example, the protease enzyme will break down proteins. We don't want our detergent breaking down the protein fibers of cashmere and silk. And second, they should have some form of conditioner in them to keep the fibers hydrated, healthy, and protected, just like our hair. Clothes made from animal fibers need to be conditioned for a variety of reasons. 1, so they're soft to the touch. 2, it'll minimize damage by keeping them smooth and less abrasive to one another. That will prevent pilling, or those little fuzz balls you see on sweaters. And 3, they're really important to add to the luster and shine, specifically for silk. Be mindful of the instructions, as some of these detergents do not want you to rinse the garment after it's washed, as you'll remove those lovely conditioning agents. Color catch sheets do work, but in my testing, the results are limited, as these little guys can only catch so much loose dye. If you're washing something new or just feeling nervous about something bleeding, you can add them, but you should know that a lot of good detergents have redeposition ingredients to prevent stains and dye from redepositing on your clothes. And last, very much optional, another formulation of detergent. For example, I love liquid detergent, but I keep powder around as I use this for my towels and sheets. In general, I'm a cautious person, so I always like to have a backup plan. Okay, I guess this goes against the theme of the video, but here are some things I skip. Fabric softener, heavily perfumed products, chlorine bleach, scent beads, and laundry detergent sheets. I'll make this quick, as most of these are more my personal preferences based on my experiences with each of them. Fabric softener just isn't really needed for modern day clothes, and I think there are way more drawbacks than benefits. The most important one being that they are hydrophobic, meaning they repel water, which is the opposite of what you want for anything touching your body that should be absorbing sweat, like gym clothes, towels, sheets, undergarments, and Dryer sheets are basically just paper towels with fabric softener on them, so yeah, I'd skip those too. Only time I'd ever even think to use softener is for like a cotton sweater or a blanket. Next, heavily perfumed products. This is completely subjective and personal preference, but I don't want to smell like cleaning products. I like to smell like me. Plus, perfume is the #1 sensitizer for skin in the laundry arena. If you're having skin irritation, try swapping to a free and clear product. Don't get me wrong, chlorine bleach has been instrumental in our society for disinfecting for over a century now, but I think it's outdated in the clothing care space. It's hard to use, incredibly damaging to fibers. I mentioned before how it's a really strong oxidizer and it's too aggressive for clothes. It will damage fabrics and in my opinion should only be used to disinfect soiled clothing from someone who's sick in your home or if you want to tie-dye. Don't use it to whiten. Us dry cleaners literally never ever use it, and if you see it in your local wash and fold or dry cleaner, I'd run away. Scent beads, literally just perfume. They don't clean, they don't soften, they're just scent. Another reason I don't like scented products is I want to ensure I removed an odor, and perfume isn't just covering it up. And lastly, because I think their marketing is predatory, laundry detergent sheets. Look, I've tested about a dozen of them, maybe more. They're all really bad at cleaning clothes. Even the big brands have tried and failed, and Consumer Reports agrees with me regarding their poor performance, which gives me so much satisfaction. They're a great idea, but I find their advertising to be full of greenwashing and fear-mongering. They're also more expensive than you think, and most importantly, the performance just isn't there. Look, they can be the most sustainably packaged product in the laundry world, but if they aren't cleaning your clothes, what's the point? To be clear, I want them to succeed. They're a great departure from heavy, watery products that come in hard to recycle plastic, but some serious development needs to happen for them to be even remotely viable. I'm sure I missed something, so please leave a comment if you have any questions. As always, remember, you are valuable, and I hope you have an amazing day.